Greetings, brothers of Omega Sci-Fi. I pray that this message finds you well and in good health. This week I wanted to talk about prayer. About 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago now, my pastor started preaching on prayer. A week ago, our district chaplain, Brother Michael Brown, his monthly Bible study was about prayer. A few weeks ago, before my pastor started preaching on prayer, our district chaplain called me and asked me to do a 7-minute sermon, and it was about a revival that will resurrect the church. And one of the things I focused on in that sermon was prayer. So I wanted to give the brotherhood a couple things to think about in terms of prayer and some of the reasons why we need to pray. Ephesians 6:10 through 19, and I'll read a portion of it, and I'll start in verse 10. It says, "Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil." That word wiles in the Greek means methodia, or the word is methodia, and it means method, trickery, travesty, or lie in wait. So we have to be mindful of the lie in wait, if you will, of the enemy. Key verse 12 says, "For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood." We don't wrestle against each other, another human being, another man. That's what we don't realize. We don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in heavenly places. Now, the reason I believe the Lord would have me share this particular text is we just lost a brother in our fraternity, Brother James Langford III. He was murdered in Richmond this past week. We were able to go and be a part of the vigil. The family, mother and father, invited us to come out. Our chapter president, Brother Boss, Brother Dwayne Thomas, among other brothers, our KRS was there. We also had several other brothers from other chapters who supported the family in this tragic incident that took place just recently. And a couple things came out that night. The father was angry. I felt a lot of revenge there, like, someone may want to take it upon themselves to revenge the death of our brother Langford. But we have to realize we don't wrestle against flesh and blood. We wrestle against these principalities, these powers, these rulers of darkness and wicked places and the rulers of darkness and spiritual hosts of wickedness. And I want to give you a couple definitions. Principality means chief in order, time, rank, or place. Now remember, the enemy, when he was kicked out of heaven, he tried to set his kingdom up to mimic God's kingdom. In God's kingdom, he had archangels, which Satan being one of the 3 archangels, the most powerful beings God created. So when Satan came down to earth and to God's creation to cause havoc, he set his kingdom up. So he set up powers, or principalities, should I say. These are the highest in rank. These are the spirits that control an area. Like we have a strong spirit of murder in Oakland and Richmond. And I come from a place which many years has been the murder capital of the world, New Orleans, Louisiana. Just a strong spirit. That's a principality that controls a particular area. Or very poor countries, third world countries. There's a strong spirit that controls the area from walking in prosperity, if you will. Then there's powers. That word, the Greek word is exousia, which means force or superhuman strength or delegated influence. And we see that in some of the movies we watch, like when a priest is trying to cast out a demon from someone, and that person has this superhuman strength, and they jump up and tear the priest up in the movies. And we see this happen in scripture as well, when the man who was in the graveyard, and he was cutting himself with stones, and he had this superhuman strength. So we see that being a power. Then we have rulers of darkness, and that Greek word, it means a world ruler or epithet of Satan, which is basically any name given to hide Satan's identity, such as, let's say, for instance, the Ku Klux Klan, racism, That is a work of the enemy, and it is a rule of darkness. The other one is spiritual hosts of wickedness, which means religious spirits. We have religions that hold us back from walking in the purpose of God. And all of these are set up in the kingdom of Satan to keep us from flourishing and flowing in the things of God. So, brothers, I just wanted to share that with you. Our enemy is not the person in front of us. It's not that flesh and blood. The enemy is God's enemy, and he wants to come against God's creation, you and I, to make sure we never walk in God's purpose for our life. So, brothers, look, I love you. Stay prayerful, stay safe, and until we meet again in the study of the Chaplain, God bless you.